Okay, yeah. Sorry, it's just some network issues. Hope it is clear now. So can you guys hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So first of all, thank you guys for joining the session. So let me quickly take you through the topics. What are the sessions that we are covering in this course? So let me know once my screen is visible.
Yes,
Is my screen visible?
yeah, we will.
Yeah. Fine. So in this course, it's like purely related to AWS as well as data engineering. So here we will be covering a few fundamentals of data engineering part. So fundamentals in the sense like we'll be covering up like different type of data and data warehouse, data lake, and how to set up and what are the things that we have to take into consideration when we develop a data pipeline and how we can assure data quality and the data governance part. So these are the main things that we will walk you through. And prior to this session, we are expecting that you are familiar with the database and you should be having some knowledge of SQL as well as some basic understanding of Python. So these are the two expectations that we are having. And as a prerequisite is we will be taking you through the PySpark course as a prerequisite course. So then after that, we'll be starting with data engineering fundamentals. So where we will be covering all the different type of data as well as uh, like data warehouses, data lake, and data lake house. And we'll walk you through the different alternatives for AWS and what are the things that how we can use that, how we can integrate other things with other things. When I say other things, we'll be covering a little bit from Databricks. So we'll not take a deep dive into that, but you should be able to integrate your S3 bucket to Databricks and where you will be able to execute the create your own notebooks. We will not take you through creation of workflows in Databricks, but we'll just give you a high level overview of Databricks as well. Because that is the platform where we are using for PySpark. So learning the PySpark thing. Uh, so then later on we'll be covering the storage parts. Then when I say storage, we'll be covering S3 and EBS and EFS. So these are the things that we'll be covering. Different type of databases, and NoSQL, SQL, and GraphSQL. So these are the main things that we'll be covering. We'll be seeing it with the help of AWS services and data migration and data transfer, and how we will be computing it, and containers. So containers will be using Docker and we'll be making use of ECS, EKS and all. So just a higher level for data engineering perspective, it's not into a higher level. We'll be just considering it like we'll be walking you through that, and we'll be creating a Docker image and deploying it there in Docker Hub as well as in other containers in AWS. And into analytics, we'll be covering a few services, and we'll be covering up application integration, and we'll be considering the security, identity, and compliances, and networking and content delivery, and governance, data governance and data management, and few developer tools. So these are the sessions that we will be covering up entirely in the course, and we'll be covering each topic with a hands-on, and after that, finally, once after completion of everything, we will be taking up a real-time project, and we'll be ending the course with that project. So this is the high-level overview of the course. What are the things that which we will be covering up, and coming into AWS. So in AWS, in terms of analytics, we will be covering Amazon EMR and lake formation and Redshift, Kinesis, and Glue, and Amazon managed streaming for Apache Kafka, and OpenSearch, QuickSight, Athena. These are the things in terms of analytics. And in terms of app integration, we'll be covering event bridges, step functions, app flow, SNS, SQS, and Airflow. So Airflow is like we'll be covering Amazon managed Airflows, Apache Airflow workflows for Apache Airflow. We will be creating DAX, task, and all. But we will not be covering in depth of Apache Airflow, will not be covering creation of plugins and all. So whatever it is required for data engineering, we'll be covering that part. So you will be comfortable with integrating Apache Airflow with all the AWS services like SNS, EMR. You will be able to bring up clusters, like tear down the clusters. So all things you will be able to do it from Airflow. So we'll not be covering up the plugins once again. So plugin part will not be covering up, but everything related to Airflow. There are different type of operators. We'll be taking you through a few of the main operators, but covering up all the operators, it's like in a course it's difficult, but we'll be walking you through all the important operators in Airflow, as well as how you can integrate that in AWS. So these are the two things that we'll be mainly looking at. And coming to compute you will be learning AWS batch, EC2. EC2, like you will be, that's again in terms of data engineering, and Lambda and server application repository, ECR, EKS, and ECS. These are the containers. And for databases, we'll be learning the document DB and DynamoDB and Cassandra key spaces, and memory DB and RDS. RDS, like we'll be covering up Postgres and SQL in RDS, and we'll be covering up like Redshift as well, and Neptune, Amazon Neptune. And in developer tools, you will be after this course you will be comfortable with working with AWS CLI. We will be showing you like how you can install CLI in your system and how you can communicate with that system to here. And in security perspective, you will be able to create the encryption keys, and you will be able to communicate with S3 and those. So that part we'll be seeing up in CLI and Cloud9 and CDK, code build, code commit, code deploy, and code pipeline. So these are the development tools that we'll be covering from this course. And coming to data management and data governance, AWS CloudFormation and CloudTrail, CloudWatch, Config, and AWS Managed with Grafana and Systems Manager and well architect tools. So these are the things that we will be covering up when it comes to data management and data governance. So you might be familiar. If you're someone familiar with AWS, you would have heard this one apart from this Grafana. So Grafana, it's a new thing coming to data perspective. So this dashboard also we'll see. Again, that is AWS Managed Grafana. It's the same thing, but coming to data perspective, we'll be seeing it. And here in data migration and data transfer, we'll be walking through data discovery services and data migration services and database migration service DMS and data sync, AWS transfer family and Snow family. So these are the things that we will be seeing for data migration and data transfer. And coming to content delivery and networking, we'll be seeing AWS Private Link, Route 53, VPC, and CloudFront. This is again, these are the things it's common in AWS, but we'll be seeing it in terms of data engineering. And again, the security also, like IAM and key managed KMS, and may say secret manager, shield, and WAF. So these are the things that we will be covering up in terms of security and governance. Finally, the storage part. Storage, we'll be covering up AWS S3 and EBS, EFS, and AWS backup. So these are the plan actually. So these are the services that you will be learning in the entire course. And apart from this, so how you can, so since you are having many services, right, in how to choose a service and how much cost it will be, so how it will be processing. So all those things will be covered in the session. So this is a high level overview. What are the services that we are covering in this course? So anybody have any doubts in any part or clarification required, please let me know. I'm happy to answer that.
So quick question. This is Ashish. I mean, the course looks quite comprehensive, but I wanted to understand the depth of these services that you'll be covering, and what would be your approach in terms of making us go through these services. Would it be a use case based approach, or you will go component by component, or you will go through a logical data engineering flow, like starting from sources, ingestions, and then building pipelines? So what's going to be your approach and what's going to be your depth of these services that will be covered in this training?
Okay. So we'll be starting with component by component because like you have to understand, right, like how it's working. So for that, I'll be covering up each component with a hands-on related to that. Consider like creation of an event in S3. So I'll be showing you it in a real time, and I'll be giving some practical sessions, and I'll be covering up the logic initially for that component, how it is working, and what are the limitations, and where are all the scenarios that you can use. So I'll be covering up that part initially, like in each component, in component by component, and finally, so once you're familiar with the event and the storage and one flow, okay, so consider like a real-time scenario in S3. A file is coming from any tip code to your S3 or like any on-prem systems to your S3. So from that S3, you will be triggering your pipeline, and after process, you will be ingesting the data into a table in any database, or like you will be putting the file back into your data lake, that's S3, in some other format. So in this case, you have to understand creation of an event and the flow every component level, right? So we'll be covering the components. So once you are familiar with the base components, later part we will be covering up with the real-time use cases, like we will be putting the file in another source or another S3 to our S3. From there, the pipeline will create, and that will be in like how we exactly work in a data engineering project. It's the approach. Initially, I'll be covering each component with a smaller use case and a hands-on in that part, then followed by once like specific components for a data pipeline is completed, then we will be doing a complete project. Complete project in the sense like an end-to-end pipeline we will create. So that is the plan actually. Is it clear or? And okay, you're asking how depth we will be covering up, right? So we will be covering up, I can say, consider an S3. So if you consider S3, we will be covering up uh, the lifecycle management and versioning and replications and what else? So and store different storage levels. Yeah, these are the things that way. Everything that is related to data engineering, we will be covering it. That is the depth of the course, I can say. So whatever is related to S3, which is available, so that we will be covering up in terms of data engineering.
So basically, you are covering up both AWS and Azure services.
Not Azure. Only the scope of the course is only limited to AWS. So we'll be covering up data engineering with AWS, not Azure. We'll not be taking you through any Azure or GCP services, but I can tell you the alternative services that you can use instead of any AWS services. But the scope of this course is limited to AWS. You will be learning only related to data engineering in with AWS services.
So how about the PySpark, Python?
So PySpark, I'll be covering it in the as a prerequisite is, so that I'll be covering up. Now, so I'll give you an quick overview, basic things that is required to get started as a prerequisite. And whenever we are moving forward, right? So here, if you look at the analytical things, right? Here we have to create an EMR job. So when we are creating an EMR job, or like when we are creating any pipeline, so at that time we'll be seeing like real-time use cases. So all the codes that we are planning to develop it in PySpark.
How much is the percentage of course focused around designing aspects of this data engineering here? I mean, I understand. I mean, really appreciate that you're going to deep dive into these components. But
Mhm.
how many pipelines are going to we're going to create out of this course eventually, and how much design consideration focus would be there to be
Okay.
spent?
So
Do we
in terms
expect
of
it or?
architecting, yeah, you're asking about the architecture, right? I mean, architecture, right? The design plan, right? So how it needs to be transferred. So here we will be creating different pipelines using all the not all the services, right? So every time we will not be using all the services. So basically, if I'm having an operation that I'm doing it in Glue, the same I will not be doing it with EMR, right? So I'm also not sure because the course structure and curriculum is not yet completely prepared. So based on the requirements, I'll be modifying it, like how quickly you're grasping and what are the things that you are expecting. So based on that, we'll be changing the modules actually. So it's like, I mean, I don't have a predefined structure. It should be like this or it should be like this. To be frank, I don't have that in my hand. So I'll be following with you guys and like as per your requirements. So we will be. I have certain plans actually. So what is my plan is I'll be walking you through the fundamentals actually. So once the fundamentals are clear, you will know like when to use, what are the things that you need to consider when you are choosing a component, right? So if consider you have to run a Spark job, so you are getting confused like, okay, whether I have to go with EMR or I have to go with Blue. So this is there comes the architecture or like COE teams, right? So in that place, so there are certain things that you have to consider: the speed of the data and the type of the data and the accuracy of the data and like the amount of data that you are going to process. So everything will be how to take consideration and you have to choose a design, right? So design perspective. So once you are familiar with all the components, we are having a session. So then that place only we will move with an orchestration tool that I have set, right? So Apache Airflow. So in Airflow, we'll be having like 10 to 15 different pipelines using different services. So 18 plus services are there. Using that, we will be creating separate designs. So more to that, I don't have a clear picture to be frank. So that's it. Hope I gave you an answer. So if not, like you can ask me if you are specifically looking for a service, we will answer.
Okay. To address my question, and maybe if I can ask a follow-up question there, to what extent does it addresses the AWS Data Engineering Certification curriculum or the syllabus, because that is pretty fixed, right? So do you
Yes.
plan to cover all the content there?
Yes. So that is what the table of content. If you are looking for the AWS data engineering certification, these are the things they will be asking you there. So if you are following up with me here in the course, I'm sure that you will be able to answer it. You will be able to clear the certification.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah. So that is the like we have created this course on, with the reference of AWS certification. So that is the reason why we are covering up all the security services and networking and all here. So else like you will not see all the network governance, so all these parts here. So we have created this curriculum based on the AWS data engineering course certification. Yeah. Any other questions related to the course, or if you think like okay, if few other things also needs to be added, please let me know. I will plan accordingly uh, as well, so that I can cover the required things as well. So if you have any expectation and if I miss to say, or like if you think okay, if it is there, it will be great. Yeah, you can reach out to me, or like you can tell it right away so that I can keep a note and I can add it in the course content or like in the curriculum.
And maybe hello. Hello.
Uh,
Yes, Shubham this side. Actually, I want to ask. Yeah. Actually, I want to ask about the factor like what kind of points we are covering in terms of security based on AWS. Also,
so
something I'm not clear about.
okay, so
Yes.
coming to the security perspective, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so here you can see IAM. So it is like the role based. If you are familiar with AWS or like any cloud, there you are having an identity management, access management. So where you will be defining groups or like roles, and or like you will be having a specific policies. So we'll be covering all those things actually. So either it can be a role-based access, or it can be certain groups will be giving the access, or you will be adding some policies in your bucket, or if you're having connecting from a VPC, we'll be creating endpoints, or like if you're having separate teams accessing the same content, so you need to limit the availability of, consider like you're having like a 10 to 15 columns in a table, and only two or three needs to be viewed for a certain team. So then you can do that with the access policy. So we are having different types there, like in access level, access policy and bucket level policies, and user level policies. So many are there. So we'll be covering up that part as well.
Yeah, okay. Thanks. Thanks. And I also want to know about that one point that's pretty popular in AWS, like auto load or something. I'm not familiar with that topic, but are we can you introduce
So
us what
I didn't get that. What it is?
auto load or something? I used to go through the multiple courses, and they were suggesting like we have also doing a point like auto loader.
Autoloaders.
Am I saying it right? Yeah.
So autoloaders, I'm not sure. Like, okay, what do you mean by that? If you are referring to ETL part, so
Yes, I'm
we
referring
are
about
covering
it.
that one. Yes. So yeah, we
Auto balancer या
will
something
cover
auto loader. हाँ.
Is it
Yeah,
load,
auto balancer or something. It is something
load
like auto
load balancer.
balancer or
Load
something.
load balancers are there. So so auto load, I'm not that familiar to that concept. Like if it is there, sorry for that. So if you meant like load balancing, yeah, we'll be covering like okay, since we are dealing with big data, like huge amount of data, we'll be covering that part, like how you can load, how you can manage, or how you can push your services based on the data volume. So and how you can manage it when it is having more data coming up, like how you will automatically add newer nodes into your cluster for provisioning it.
Yes.
So that part we'll be covering up. Auto loading will be auto load in the sense like this load balancer, it will automatically load based on the data. It will automatically identify how much it is required. So based on that, it will balance by itself. If you're referring to that, that will be covering up. And if something else, I'm not sure. We'll be covering ETL as well as ELT. So this both will differ based on whether we are ingesting data into a data warehouse or a data lake. So initially we'll be covering the concept. So later on we'll be covering up like both the things, ETL as well as ELT.
Yeah, I think I got my answer. Yes, thanks.
I think autoloader is related to Databricks somewhere in the ingestion space. That's what I understand. I know about. But it looks to be a Databricks topic there for ingestion inside the Databricks platform. But I don't know if there's a concept in AWS also. Would be interested to learn that.
Okay, yeah, I mean, because like then I'm not sure, I haven't heard about it so far, to be frank.
Yeah,
So
but autoloader is correct. Yeah, autoloader is a correct answer. What is around Databricks? Yeah.
okay, yeah, I was not familiar with that. Sorry for that. So yeah.
And I mean, just a suggestion, maybe if you can consider it. What I've seen in these courses is we get into so much of component level discussions that it becomes a kind of a marathon of understanding services, and we totally lose context of how to put these services together for a solutioning. So, would really appreciate if you could cover like few solutions step by step after every like bunch of services, so that we join services together to see as to how a solution works in an enterprise before we land up with doing a big bang project. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That is how I have planned. So like we'll be covering up the storage part initially, then few components or few services. Then we'll be creating a project based on that, a pipeline. So then we'll be moving on to the remaining components. It will be like that. Is that is what you're expecting, or like instead of going for the service or components, you can
No, precisely. I think you answered it. That's nicely.
okay, okay. Yeah, I just kept note of, I mean, whatever that you have suggested and said. So, any other clarification? Uh,
So, Libin, how about the lab? Is it like a free account in AWS? We would like to, create a free account and do on top of that, or would you have any access at your level?
so, yeah, you can have a free tier account.
Yeah.
You can create by it yourself, but the services here we are going to use, right, that will cost you some dollars. So if you are following with me, you will be ending up charging some amount of money. You have to pay that. So lab, I don't think like here any visual path is providing a lab. Not sure. Just check with the organizer once again. So if yes, you can use. Else, you have to create your own pre-tier account, and you can follow. I'll tell you whenever we are going through the course, right? So I'll tell you the service is costing. If the service is costing something, I'll tell you that. So again, if you're following up with me, you will be ending up paying some amount of money. Especially like when you are dealing with AWS services, make sure that you are turning it off once after your use and terminate the clusters if there are any, and turn off the blue notebooks and all, because these are the things that you cost a good amount of money. Okay. So you have to careful in that as well. So lab, you can check with the organizer if they are having any lab environment here or not. So if not, you can create a free tier account, but we are covering up like few costly services as well.
So, do you have any document that you are covering for these many services? Just to make sure, I want to look at what you are covering initially.
So yeah, I have it here. So if required, I can ask the organizer to share it with you. So we'll be covering up all this part. Apart from that, some pipelines as well as pre-request is PySpark, and yeah, that's it. And some design perspective, I said like we'll be having separate data pipelines that we'll be covering up along with the course. And finally, as an end-to-end, we'll be creating 3 pipelines. So moreover, like I will say, like I mean, more than 20 to 25 pipelines you will be creating in this course. Documentation, I don't have. I mean, I have only this. What are the course things that we are going to cover? I can share it with the organizer. And, they will share it with you. You can ask them for the topic, so they will share it.
What's the duration of this course? And how many hours?
Duration again. So it's mentioned like 45 hours, but again that you can check with the organizer. So I'm ready to extend and I can cover the sessions till you are comfortable. I don't have any issues on that part. So again, you can check with the organizer if there is a platform that we can connect. Yeah, I'm open to uh, like extend till we finish the entire course curriculum. Okay.
So are we covering any real-time projects like maybe that?
We'll be covering in a real-time project, a real scenario from the industry we'll be taking up, and based on that we'll be working actually. So real-time project will be covering that one.
And you will be covering the package like Boto3, Cyclops, those packages, right? And
Boto 3, yeah, we will be covering Boto 3. That is, yeah, we'll be covering that one. In any way, we have to use that like when we are covering the other services, right? So we have to use Boto3. So all apart from that also we'll be covering Boto3 library will be covering. What else you ask? What is the other one that you are asking?
I think that's psychobject that connect to Redshift database, right? That I think I didn't recall the exact name. Right.
Hey,
Connecting to Redshift.
Libin, this is Gaurav. I just joined. Actually, this is some personal work. I unable to join. Just join the session. You were saying something related to the bottle fish. So, up to what extent you are covering the bottle fish?
So I have showed you some services, right? So we'll be creating a client for all the services here related to data engineering, and we will be making use of Boto3 and accessing it from there here, and for bringing up EMR, like tearing down, so and connecting to the system. So any services that are related to data engineering, we will be. I will tell you I'll not be able to cover all the services inside the package. So whatever it is related to data engineering and whatever which we are currently using for a data engineering project that is required for our pipeline, so I'll be covering that part.
Okay. And are you covering some basics for the Boto3? Like, what are the methods which we are using for the services? What is how we are connecting to that? That's some
Yes.
ideas.
So if you here like in development tools, if you look at here the CLI, right? So we'll be installing the interface in your system. So there you will be setting up your AWS credential. So at that time I'll be telling you like how you can configure Boto3 to a specific region or how you can change it. So all those things, or how you are making the AWS API calls, right? So I'll be covering that part there. So basic things I'll be covering up, and I'll try to cover the basic things I'll be covering up, but not in a detailed level because going to that package and cost taking all the functionalities there it will be too long. But everything related to data engineering will cover it. We'll get it covered there.
Okay. One last question, like how much time duration will it take for complete this course?
So I mean, it's planned for 45 hours. So if we are going in a correct way, we'll be able to finish it. But here, since we are adding few more pipelines, and we'll be clearing all your doubts before jumping it into another pipeline or another session. So it really depends on how we progress. Okay. So once again, so again I have to check this one with the visual path team. So yeah, so I can assure you we'll be covering all the curriculum here. So if it takes some time, we'll extend. No worries on that part, I guess.
Okay. My intention was whatever the topics which we are trying to cover, it will be in the depth, like whatever practical sessions which we are doing it, we will have to do. And so if it's something was we'll have to extend, we can do. So that's not an issue. So that's fine.
So I mean, it purely depends on us, how we progress and the pipelines that we create, right? So both will matter. So based on that, the time. I'm not assuring you a fixed time, but it should be anyway. It should be more than 45 hours. Okay, at least 45 hours that I can assure. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
Any other clarification or queries that's required for the course, you can ask me.
So you will be covering Glue and Lambda as well, right? The advanced version of Glue.
Yes, both will get covered. So Glue and Lambda both are there. In Glue will be creating workflows as well as the actual job creations. Everything related to Glue will get covered.
And sorry, you are talking about some pipeline, so I missed that account. Like, what are the things you will be covering on that?
So the pipeline creation will be having different pipelines, right? Either they are coming to S3 from an on-prem, then you will be processing it in EMR and storing the data in another packet format in S3. So it can be a pipeline, right? So the entire thing is called as a data pipeline, right? So in another pipeline, it will be like you are getting some real-time data or live streams from any device, or like you are getting it from API to your uh, Kinesis. So from the Kinesis, you are having it in your stock. Then you are processing it. Again, you are saving, ingesting the data into any Redshift table. So it can be another pipeline. So based on the use cases or like real-time scenarios, we will be covering up different pipelines, pipeline design, and when to use what. So those things will get covered. Okay.
So by end of the course, I think we should have sufficient knowledge to work on the real-time projects, right?
Yes. I mean, from the data, I mean, AWS side, you will be able to understand which service you need to use to run the code. You will be having that knowledge, and what are the prerequisites are there, and how you need to set up a job. So all those things you will be having. But again, like how much effort you put in. So here, like you are running a job, right? The business transformation logic, it will completely depends again on your hand. Okay, so you have to practice that way as well. So if you are practicing, yeah, you will be equipped with all the things that is required to start up, say data engineer, not startup. So you will be having an enough knowledge to design your pipelines.
And you will be using PySpark, right?
Correct.
On that.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
If you want a demo session in Scala, I can give it to you in Scala as well. Okay, so it's again different. So irrespective of the language, it's fine. So if required, I can do it with Scala as well. Okay.
Okay. I think everyone is using now PySpark, right?
There will be some scenarios where it's not that
Okay.
convenient for your use case, then you have to do it with Scala. Okay, there are some use cases in real-time industries as well where PySpark is incapable, not it's capable, but it is taking some time to run, right? When it comes to the performance, so uh, it depends on your use case and the scenarios, which language you need to choose, right? So
Okay.
Hey Matthew, one important question. Are we covering the data modeling for the database also?
data modeling, you mean the like Snowflake, star schema level, right? The data modeling part, right? So I can
Yes,
give you a
like
quick overview. So data modeling will not cover it in depth, but I'll touch it up. That's it. Like when we see about data fundamentals, so I'll tell you like okay, why you need to design or how you have to choose it. When it comes to, I'll just okay, not sure. Yeah, it's there are some place where we will be mentioning it, but will not be going in depth of data modeling. So it's a vast topic. So yeah, here I guess yeah. So here we will be just telling what is dimension fact table. So what is the need of it. So how the entity relationship diagram coming up. So all those things will be covering up. But if required, I can add that part as well, data modeling. So do we need to add that as well, or like just a quick refresh should be fine?
I would think, frankly speaking, as my personal, like not personal, it's like official requirement where I will have to give some ideas for the data modeling in time series database, time series
Okay.
along with relational models. So this topic is actually a bit important for me. So
Mm-hmm.
it will be very good and really appreciate if you add some more depth in it. Uh, yeah, because I
So,
think it's for me. Yeah.
oh, sure. So, yeah. So I'll keep a note of it. So I'll be adding Okay, data modeling, right? So yeah.
Just like the intention will be how we think about the entity relationship model, what type of access patterns we can choose in taking any of the real-time scenarios, and on the basis of it, how we construct the table. That kind of ideas we can give, it is really beneficial for us. I think
Okay,
everybody
sure.
would need such kind of examples for the data engineering perspective.
Okay, sure. So I'll come up with like some geography as well as time series data. So that might be new to most of them, I guess. Like uh, so both I'll take and I'll come up with the data modeling. So how you can design and how you can app up, then we will design it together. Okay. So how about that? That should be fine, right?
Yes, that's
So you'll
sounds
get an idea.
good.
Yeah.
Yes. And in fact, if you have any
I,
questions, you
I
can ask it maybe one-to-one or whatever. It's comfortable for them. Yeah. Thank you.
sure. I'll add. I'll just not at that part. So yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Any other uh, any other information required from the course perspective, or do you think like anything needs to be added to the curriculum? Let me know. So I'll add it as well.
Any touch base with the Databricks? Uh,
We will be like since to be frank, since if we are using AWS services, right? AWS Glue Notebook, so it is costly to take up the prerequisites, right? So prerequisites in the sense like I will not be able to run a Glue Notebook too long. That will be charging some huge amount of money. So since we will be running all the PySpark jobs. So whenever I'm covering the PySpark sessions, we will be making use of Databricks. So if you are having any thing or if you need any help on Databricks, you can ask me, or if you have help in like creation of workflows or like creation of jobs or notebooks or bringing up clusters. So all those things we'll be seeing in Databricks. So as a part of prerequisites, that is again not a part of our scope of this course. Okay, this course is completely related to for covering up PySpark, we'll be making use of Databricks notebook.
sure,
Okay,
sure.
so in that, yeah, we will be seeing like where like we'll be making use of the community edition where the workflows are disabled. So apart from that, whatever it is there, I can show you that part. Okay, I'll be just like moving towards it, like moving through it. Okay, and that's it. Okay. Not don't expect like high level Databricks courses.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
not expect like to be there. Okay. Yeah.
That's
Any,
true. Yeah, I have one point to add. It's like whenever we are progressing for the content, whatever we are in the syllabus, can we add some cost optimization techniques for the services which we are using for the AWS data service? Like
yes.
being a data architect, it will be very important that how you do the cost optimization for the services. So
Yes,
if
that
you
will
do
be that
yeah,
will be covering. That is actually a part of this course actually. So I can show you as a demo as well here. So here if you look at the AWS S3 lifecycle, okay.
mhm,
So we are having different levels of storage classes, right? So by default it will be standard. So then it is like different. It comes like infrequent access. Okay. So like features. So Glacier and Archival, so Deep Archival. So many are there. Like different storage classes are there. So there are things like where you can define a rule saying like, okay, if the object is not getting access in 30 days, so move that to frequent tier, like I mean frequent access. So like intelligent tiering. So based on that, it will be reducing the cost actually. So if you are moving one by default, it will be in standard. So storage levels you can define. So then the cost will be optimized. So we'll be covering that part in each services, how you can do that, how you can identify and how you can calculate an estimated cost based on your data size and how much data you need to process and how speed you need to process. So we'll be covering all this part actually as part of this course.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, thank you so much.
Hey, a quick question. With respect to the real-time project, will we be working towards the real-time project starting from the day one, like with the storage and everything with the components,
Correct.
or at the end of?
So we will be, real-time project we will be doing at the end because there we will be having, we'll need to connect with different services, right? So here, whatever the pipeline that I am planning to create, right, so everything will be based on the real-time scenarios. In real-time, we'll not be using all the services, right? We'll be choosing the services which is required for us to run the job, right, in an efficient way. So all the pipelines which we are creating will be based on the real-time projects only. Okay.
Yeah.
So in after each component, yeah, we will be creating some projects that is real-time projects only. So based on the real use cases, which I have seen in the industry. So based on that, not able to get the entire data. So it will be purely based on some sample data. Okay.
Yeah.
And in the last session, as a real-time end project, right, final project we will be doing, right? So that in that space, we will get some huge amount of data and we will process it and see how it is working. Then I will be able to tell you the optimization part as well. Okay, how you can optimize the job. Okay, so that's what the plan is.
Yeah.
So I have one question not related to the course related. So are we getting any kind of certification after completion of this course so that I can submit to my company for reimbursement? Do you have any idea? Or any specific example?
Correct. I'm not right to answer that.
Okay, sure.
Check the organizer. Okay, they will help you on that.
Okay.
Matthew, this is Sanjay.
Yeah, hello.
I missed the first 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. So, are you working somewhere, or I just wanted to know whether you're working or you just teach? You teach this.
Yes, sure. So I'm working as a senior data engineer in Bay Area. So I don't know if you're familiar with the company or not. So it's a product-based company. So yeah, so I'm working agro domain based. So it's completely into R&D. So it's into the research and development part.
I have an experience. I don't have an experience in IT. Okay. I really have an experience wherein business transformation kind of thing, like for automation and all. Apart from that, I was into complete banking domain for fraud and KYC and all. So, how do you think will it be a good switch for me to learn now and get into it, or I do have to have some prerequisites to get into this thing?
So I prefer you for this course, but you should know some basics of Python, some data engineering fundamentals, and to be some SQL queries. Not some SQL queries. You should be having a good knowledge of SQL queries. Okay.
SQL. Okay.
SQL, because that we have to use it. Even if you are not comfortable with SQL, you can take this course. You can learn. But if you want to get most out of the course, you have to know as well as some SQL, okay, and Python. These are the prerequisites. So we will be touching all the things, but we'll not be covering in depth, right? So
you will be just overlapping or like overlooking about that.
Correct. So here the concept like group by and there are some window functions and all. So I'll not be covering up in detail about that. I'll be just covering like, okay, we can apply a group by here, so this will be the output. So how the group by exactly works. So how SQL exactly works. You have to understand that, right? So basically SQL take the data in each row and check the condition when we are applying whether it is true or false.
Okay.
On that it runs. So where it comes like if you want to optimize the system, then you have to apply some indexing for the by applying indexing you will avoid the entire scan. Okay. So I said the filtering, right? So it will not scan the entire table. So by applying an indexing as well as partitioning. So these concepts and all I will just cover up. Okay. So by doing a partition, by doing uh, an indexing to the table. So likewise I'll cover up and I'll go. So I'll not say in depth because it is again a huge thing. Okay.
Okay.
So you should be if you are okay to work along with the course or if you need any guidance like what are the that needs to be that you have to learn. I can tell you on that part of also you have to work along not only in this I mean what are the things which I am covering in the course. You have to work out of syllabus as well. Out of syllabus, when I say out of syllabus, you have to be familiar with the SQL Python. I can help you with the
Okay.
topics that you need to learn, and if you are having any doubt, we can connect. I mean, after the sessions, I can help you on that part. But again, it's up to you and your flexibility. How often you are to learn new things, how much time you have to put in. So these matters. Okay.
Just a logical
I believe I
question
got it.
for you. Yeah, you were, I mean, I able to understand what you want to say. And I just wanted to know whether, like, I forgot the question again. Difference between AWS Azure, okay, which would be the easiest one to learn, like, as of now, or which is the, what to say, current
So
ongoing beneficial thing?
okay, so before ChatGPT came into picture, so it was AWS is the one which was like leading, and when like this AI things comes up, right? So
Mm-hmm.
main the new companies they have both like AWS and Azure. So now people
Okay.
are moving towards since the AI boom. Okay, so like, and AWS it is still there, completely moving out or like completely ending in for sure. So
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the companies, like all the domains, whether it is in healthcare or telecom, wherever we are having AWS,
Okay.
you can learn AWS. And if you are learning AWS, just the name change alone. The remaining concept is same for others. Even if it is in GCP group or like
Okay.
Azure, so every place we are having the same thing and follow the same thing. Only the name are different. Okay, the service name. Okay, line changes is there. That is, if you learn any one cloud, the remaining will be too easy for you. Okay.
Okay. The concept would be the same, but only the names in a kind of working profiles would be changing.
Correct. So I mean, the console that I mean, if you go
Mm-hmm.
to service and here you are getting it right in some case with a name. So same. If you go there, it will be in another name. How you
Mm-hmm.
bring up the service will be different. But the underlying process is that just the same. Like cost
Technically, it
will
would
be
be the same.
would be the same,
What
but
about the
on a
costing?
costing is
Costing strategies.
also so it is again so based on the service rate in some networks, some cloud providers they charge for how much data you store and some
Okay.
charge for how much data you process. So same goes there. Okay, I'll be able to tell you like okay which cloud is better. So if you consider like Redshift and BigQuery, so these two, right? BigQuery will charge you more than Redshift.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, both are, but BigQuery is having its own advantage than Redshift, but Redshift is having its own advantage than BigQuery. So,
Okay.
but basically, both stores the data. Okay, in the same way. I mean, like Redshift Spectrum or data warehouse. both does the same thing. Okay.
And data
If you
architecture and the data engineering is both the same or like it's different?
no, both are different. So data engineers will be responsible for creation of the pipeline, data pipeline, and maintaining the pipeline. Okay, our
Okay.
data engineer role is to make the data available for other users in the organization. Okay, so there will be some business logic transformations. We have to extract it
Okay.
from different sources and apply our transformations and load it if you are using a data warehouse. If it is a lake, you will be getting the data, you will be loading it into your destination place. From there, when you are reading it, you have to generate a schema and you have to read it. So that is what a data lake is. Okay. So where we will be performing extraction and loading initially. Transformation will come later. Okay? That is read on schema to say. So it's purely depends on how your use case. So data architect, it's like how we have to model our tables. Again, data engineer will also do the same how data table creation, but there is like a top where we'll be going and getting the
Mm.
directions, right? The cost optimization as well as which service is best, right? Like if I have, okay, consider like we can do the same thing in AWS, GCP, and Azure, right? So which one need to
Okay.
use? So which one is more uh, like suitable for our use case, right? So then we will
Okay.
be if you are familiar with the base fundamental, there are like 4 V's of data, right? So one we will say
Mm-hmm.
like velocity and volume and veracity and variety, right? So where volume stands for the amount of data we store, right? So the amount of
Mm-hmm.
data we store be a
Okay.
defining factor which one to choose, and how speed the data needs to be generated and processed. That is what we meant by velocity, right? So the speed of the data, is it the real time or the batch or like social media feeds or logs, right? Yeah. So based on
Mm-hmm.
that, we have to find the service and variety, the variety of data we deals with, whether it is from the relational database or it can be uh, NoSQL data or it can be the logs or it can be a video file or it can be an image, right? It can be anything.
Mm-hmm.
So based on a variety of data, you have to decide where you can save it and which structure you can save it, right? And again, the veracity. Okay, veracity don't plays that much role. So veracity deals with the accuracy, reliability, and trustworthiness of data. So
Okay.
that comes into data governance and other part. Okay, so these three you can consider velocity, volume, and variety. So these three things matters more when you choose a pipeline or like when you create a pipeline or when you choose a service. This is what an architect will do. Not only this,
Okay.
this is just an example. So based on that, they have to choose, identify the pipeline. They have to create a pipeline. They have to choose which service and how much this is cost and why they need to choose this one. So we are able to answer all these questions. Then we can architect our own solutions. Okay. So in each organization, we will be having a center of excellence (COE) team. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
they will be signing off this architecture. Whenever you are going and saying like, as a data engineer, we used to propose pipelines. They used to come up with different solutions or like
Mm-hmm.
as part of the COE team. Okay, or the data architects. He defined and pipeline. So we will be proposing. So data engineer and the COE team identify the course and different possibilities, and they will be identifying the use cases. Then,
Okay.
if you are able to satisfy their questions, saying like, okay, why this service is better than the other service, then obviously your pipeline will get approved. Then you can decide. This is how it works. So hope I was able to give you the role level difference between data architect as well as a data engineer. Okay,
Yeah.
both
Yes.
just the
Thank you so
same.
much.
You can,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, both the, but like they'll be having more experience and experienced person in in all the services, and they will be calculating the cost. Okay, So it's not a single person, it's a team actually. So along with you, you'll be taking a decision. Okay. If you are able to, whenever you are designing and compare it by yourself and check like okay, why you are choosing this service apart from this service. Okay. And how much does this cost? The other one cost. And how much volume you need to save, how much amount of data you need to save, and how faster you will be getting the data, and how much the data can wait, and when the users require it, and what is the end use case. Will it satisfy? And the data with whatever you are getting after transformation, how you need to store it. Okay, whether it is going for an transactional database or it goes to an again analytical database. I mean,
Yeah.
so all this you have to consider when you are we'll learn about it. Okay, we'll see all these part when we create pipelines, each pipelines. So we'll that only will be creating all the pipelines. Okay, so the
We
time
will be learning a little bit of cost optimization also, like how does that work working.
that is what. So initial thing, right? Initial when we are creating the pipelines, we will be creating the pipelines and we will be moving forward since we are dealing with a small amount of data and we will be uh, creating it in an optimized way. Initially itself, we will be covering up that part, how you can optimize it. And when we are doing the last project, right, last real-time project, there we will be optimizing a lot. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, so real-time, the last big project, whatever we are doing, so there we will be doing all the optimization part. Okay, so there comes
Thank you.
the we'll be doing it in Spark since we are doing it in big batch. Sorry, we are dealing with a large, huge amount of volume. So then I'll be covering up how you can optimize a Spark job and what are the things that you have to maintain and how you can avoid it is long to be long running. So all those things I'll be covering up in that part. Okay. And when we develop any pipelines, small pipelines in each case, then I'll be covering up like the best optimization that you can do and possible things that you can avoid. Those things I'll be covering up. Okay.
Thank you.
Will not go and optimize because optimization again it is an another thing like we have to run the job and we have to keep it on running, right? Then only it will be identifying where we can optimize, where it takes more time, right? So I will not do it for all the small pipelines that we create. So we'll do it for the last project. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And how about the reporting service like QuickSight?
That will be covering up. Like once we created the pipeline and loaded the data into our data lake, okay, so we'll be creating a data lake in S3 and from there we'll be querying it to using Athena and creating a dashboard in QuickSight. Okay, not an like I would say like not as like business people will do. So we'll just try to fetch the data and create a small dashboard. Okay, so reporting side we will be doing that. Okay, I mean, once again, like in QuickSight, we'll be creating a small dashboard and a small visualization. Will not be covering all the different things that we can do it with QuickSight. Will not be covering that part. Okay, so there are different. That is a separate thing that you can learn actually from similar to Tableau, Power BI, and all. So that is again a huge things are there, but we'll be covering up like the data preparation and visual creation, different charts, graphs, and all. We'll be covering up the basic things. Okay, and we'll be building the dashboard, and you can apply filtering, and you can publish your dashboard. Those things we'll be covering up. But like creation, so the beautification things and all, right? That will not be covering up. Okay, so you will be able to process your data and visualize it.
Yeah. Okay. And anything related to the virtual network, virtual
VPC.
VPC, yeah.
Yes, we'll be covering that. Like in the access level, right? So in some cases, like as I said, like to our storage, we'll be having a VPC. We can give a VPC level access to the access policy. So in that point, I'll be covered. Okay. And that's again same concept only. You will be applying to all the things, but it will again limited to the data engineering services. Okay, will not be seeing for like all the services. We'll be not seeing it with VPC. For some, like I will be telling it along with VPC, and the same thing for to all. It's applicable. Okay, there are some like some ARN. It is there. That is a concept. So that alone will change. Okay, I'll explain that logics when we are creating or when we are dealing with it. Okay, yeah. If you are having any other, if you need any other clarifications, you can ask. Else, we can wind up the session.
So every day it would be like a 1 hour session or 2 hours?
It will be open for 1 hour. So after that, 30 minutes will be there where we will be clearing all your doubts. Okay.
I'm just
Yeah, I
wondering,
think
you don't have a document for the topics you would deal with every day. So it would be helpful for us if you can provide the document at each topic level. In that way, we will know well in advance, right? Of
So
what
yes. Yes. So I don't have it in handy. Not handy. I haven't created it yet. To be frank, I have created. If you look at the screen, I have created it till the database. Okay. So till database I have created because I was collecting and creating it. So once it is done, I can. Yes, it's not in handy because to be frank, this is. I mean, I haven't created any PPTs or these steps before. So I used to take completely hands-on trainings only. Not this is the first time that I am creating some kind of PPT, and also that is the reason I was not having it in my hand.
Okay.
So yeah, for that. So if you want it, I can get it and I can share it with you. Or like anyway, I will share it with the organizer so you can ask them actually. So what are the things that is going to get covered for topics that are going to get covered, right? That you can see it in the Visual Path site, I guess. So in Visual Path site, go to data engineering. There, there you will be getting all the topics level things that these are the things that is getting covered.
Matthew, one question, like, are you also covering Kafka as a messaging queue?
Yes, we'll be covering that. Amazon managed Kafka service we'll be covering. We'll be covering in message queues. We'll be covering SQS Kafka. These two will be getting covered.
So tomorrow onwards, we have like slot of 9 p.m., right?
The session will not start from tomorrow. It will start from Monday only, not from tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 9 p.m., right?
Yeah, 9 p.m. IST.
I think all good on my
Yeah. Fine. Yeah. If nobody have any other questions, we'll wind up the session.
Do we have any demo class tomorrow as well, or is it would be directly on Monday?
No demo class tomorrow. It will be directly on Monday, guys.
Yeah,
Two
thank
days
you.
I won't be. Yeah, 2 days I won't be available, so that is the reason it shifted to Monday. So yeah,
And usually you take this class on Saturdays and Sundays as well, or just the weekdays?
it's weekdays only, not Saturdays and Sunday. So it's just like Monday to Friday. Okay. If you don't have any doubts, we can wind up the session. All good, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Did we decide on the timings? Sorry, I was away a little bit. So
It is 9 p.m. IST to 10 p.m. IST, and
okay.
another 30 minutes be given for clearing your doubts. So if
Okay.
anybody is having doubts, they can stay on and they can.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Matthew.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you for. Yeah. Bye bye.
Thank you.